Did I just save over my previous save? Oh my god, I did. Ah! Okay, we're here. Hello everybody, I'm RaealTheProtogen and welcome back to my Furry Protogen 2. I think in this episode we get to meet Juno's sister. It's been about a week and a half since the last video and I do apologize. I've been working on some other stuff on the side, but you guys don't care about that. You care about Juno and her sister. Which, hey, I can't fault you for because that's kind of why I'm here too. Juno is hot and you know, we're gonna get to meet her sister. So like, maybe we'll get to make new friends. I don't know. If you do like what you see though, make sure to leave a like on this video and comment your favorite part because at the end of this series, I have something special planned. And hey, I know you guys like Juno as much as I do. So make sure to go to bossmonster.com to get your Juno plushies or duckies available on the store for pre-order now. Let's get right into the game because I really want to meet Juno's sister. I want to see what she's all about. We spent the next few days traveling. Now we finally had a destination, and it was so refreshing. We'd been drifting rather aimlessly in space for the last few months, just following the anomalies at random. Juno was working, trying to chart out the planet we needed to go to, and I always felt like time was draining away, like sand through my fingers. But now we finally knew where we were going, and I felt an unprecedented rush of motivation. In the last few hours before we arrived, I found myself aimlessly wandering around the ship. I was idling between the many compartments, pestering Juno with countless questions like a kid, asking how much longer we had to wait. When Pixie finally announced that we would enter the planet's atmosphere, I jumped into the jet ahead of Juno. Oh my god, somebody's eager. I peered through the cockpit glass at the planet before me. Even from space, it was nothing like my home. It appeared as a dirty lump hanging in space, radiating with a murky yellow glow. Our jet descended through the gray, thick clouds which parted and finally revealed the mountains. Well, they seemed like they were mountains at first. From afar, they looked like huge sandhills reaching upward, and it was only when I got closer that I saw that it had nothing to do with mountains. What is this? What exactly happened to this planet? I couldn't help but scowl in utter bewilderment. I stared out the window of the jet, trying to understand what I was seeing. Juno carefully landed the ship between two huge mountains, then handed me a protective helmet. Take this, the air is very toxic for your species. Did some kind of disaster happen here too? Another virus? Juno and I stood at the door of the jet. As I stepped onto the planet's surface for the first time, I could smell the unpleasant metallic odor even through the filters of my helmet. I looked around. What I had mistaken for mountains towered upward now looked like huge piles of metal garbage. Oh, is this like a dump planet? Is this like a planet designated towards being just a garbage dump for other species? Or is this maybe an industrial species that turned their planet into a dump? You know, maybe it's Earth. Juno also looked around and reported, "Yep, this planet got much worse than I remember." I opened my mouth in surprise. Has it always been like this? How could anyone ever live here? No, not always. It was once inhabited, but that species died long before we were born. They developed rapidly, made many discoveries, and learned to travel through space. Not far, of course, only to a neighboring planet, but it was a big accomplishment either way. Not many species in the universe have managed this. It takes hundreds of years of progress just to leave the surface. And what happened to them? Were they exterminated by something too? A sour grin appeared on Juno's helmet. Unfortunately, it's much more simple than that. They exterminated themselves. Oh shit! Wait a second. Let's go. Time to find Xena's workshop. Xena? Juno followed somewhere ahead past the mountains of trash. What do you mean, exterminated themselves? How did they even manage to do that? This is actually a fate many intelligent species find themselves in. They reached the peak of their progress, invented weapons of mass destruction, and dragged themselves down in wars. The last war on this planet wiped out everything. Only a small handful of survivors were left, but after a few centuries, they disappeared. This planet was uninhabited for a long time, but it was so polluted after those wars that the galactic inhabitants started using it as a dumping ground, a galactic landfill, if you will. Oh, so that is what happened. How could someone do this to their own home planet? Conflicts are inevitable in any species' history. Unless it's a species possessing a collective mind, intelligent beings will always have different ideas on the same topic. It's just a matter of how extreme this difference is. If they fail to find a way to coexist or filter those ideas, they are fated to experience those conflicts. Moreover, when their technological progress reaches a certain level, said conflicts have had disastrous consequences. Some species overcome those trials and some don't, like in this planet's case. Would this really happen to my species as well? was hard for me to imagine such a development as there had been no major wars on my planet except for the odd tribal feud. But even without detailed explanations, it was clear that the war that happened here was unlike anything I'd known back home. Well, I think it was very unlikely to happen, at least not anytime soon. Like, this is a technologically advanced species that weapons of mass destruction, let's just call it nuclear weapons. Like, that's probably exactly what happened here. They just wiped themselves out. Based on what I've heard from you, your species mythology doesn't have much cruelty, so you were less likely to face something like that. Despite Juno's words, I still couldn't help but shudder. Okay, now I understand why it looks like this, but I don't understand why your sister lives here. Seclusion, maybe? Juno laughed. Good question. Like I said, Xena's an engineer. She settled here to test her inventions, and then she started making a good living by melting down scrap. Besides, it's pretty quiet and secluded, just what Xena needs. I would never agree to live in a place like this. Let's hope you won't have to. Let's meet Xena now. Xena? Ooh, we get to meet Juno's sister. I hurried after Juno. We were approaching a small building at the foot of the Garbage Mountains. Though I was still a little confused after the story Juno had told me, those thoughts quickly gave way to new ones. The whole story made me think about my planet, and I realized again that I never got to introduce Juno to my parents. Oh, why you gotta hit me in the heart like that? Because now he's never gonna be able to. Now she's never gonna get to meet my parents, and my parents are never gonna see hot cyborg 7 foot, 8 foot tall Juno lady. Like, that's not fair, man. The same thoughts that manifested in my dreams were slowly penetrating my mind again. It was still an open hole in my heart. All I could do was imagine how my parents would react if I brought an alien woman as my home as my lover. You know what? I don't think they'd be too mad because she's smart, she's funny, she's cute, adorable, fends for herself, can protect their son. Like, I don't think they'd be too concerned about alien lady, especially big, hot alien lady. I wanted to believe that my parents would react positively, support us, and love Juno once they got to know her better, but I couldn't know for sure. And you know, that's gonna be the hard part is that planet was super religious, and religion in the past has taught us that religion can be intolerant. Not all religions, not all people are that way, and I want to acknowledge that fact right now before I get flamed for that comment. But them being as religious as they were on that planet to a point where it guided their entire society, even through other tribes, you know, they shared the same religion. I really highly doubt that Juno would have been an accepted member of the tribe or the clan or whatever, because one, she was different, two, she went against the grain, and you know, to a people that are not like technologically advanced, anything that is different, quote unquote, is scary. So I wonder if Juno had ever actually met his parents or our parents. I'm kind of betting that she would be run off or cast out or treated like a Salem witch sort of thing, like murder. Like, I don't think she would have been accepted, like, in my honest opinion. I want to say that the people may be more tolerant, but you saw their reaction to our main character in the previous game, leaving and basically denouncing their religion. It was almost sort of like a witch hunt kind of thing. So I wonder then if Juno would actually be an accepted member. I don't know. I don't know that. I mean, I guess we're never gonna find out now, but it's interesting to think about that. Because then later on in the first game, like, it's spoilers here, by the way, if you haven't seen anything from the first game, go check that video out. A link is in the top right corner for you to check out on the video. But when we come back later and we see our mom, she does tell us that she's proud of us and she loves us and everything. So I wonder if that was just she was at death's doorstep kind of thing, or maybe she realized that they treated us like shit growing up, like as the chosen one. I don't know. I actually have no idea. Sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy sort of deal going on in this. And now I had to meet Juno's little sister. Even though they weren't related by blood, since they had both been created artificially, Juno still regarded her as family. I was nervous as I approached Xena's house with Juno. Stupid thoughts continued popping up in my head. What if Xena didn't like me? I was a different species, from a not-so-advanced planet. Of course I knew Juno wouldn't leave me if Xena didn't approve of our relations, but I still didn't want to cause a conflict between them. I just hoped I could leave a good impression on her. We approached a large metal building that stood near a mountain of metal scrap. I'd never seen anything like it. There was no metal buildings on my planet, so I stared in awe at the structure. Juno came to the entrance and opened the door, letting me in. Oh, we're just gonna walk in. We're not even gonna know. Well, wait, does she know we're here? I don't actually know. Juno sister! Hello, Miss Juno sister. It was a spacious room that had a strong smell of metal. There were various devices scattered around, most of which I didn't recognize. Metal parts were also lying around in different places. Hello! How are you? Whoa, you got kind of a maid aesthetic going on here, don't you? Oh, but you are engineer lady. Hi, Miss Engineer Lady. Okay, she's kind of cute. In the middle of the room stood a Juno light girl. Oh my god, just Juno-like. Just not Protogen or anything, just Juno-like. Holding an instrument with which she was sawing or drilling something with utmost focus. I stared with interest at what she was doing. She was standing next to a large metal contraption made up of many parts, and there was a sparkling glow coming from her device. Oh, hi! It's the sisters together in the same room, and I am small Protogen. Hello! How are you? Finally, Juno made a strange sound with her helmet, alerting Xena to our presence. However, she simply extended her hand towards us, silently signaling us for us to be quiet. Uh-oh, was she super focused? Okay. For the next few minutes, Juno and I waited patiently for Xena to finish and turn her attention towards us. All the while, I looked around curiously, noticing new things that I'd never seen before. I wanted to ask Juno everything. What it was, what was Xena doing, what kind of thing she was fixing, but I didn't make a sound, waiting for the unpleasant loud noise to finally subside. Juno also had various instruments on the ship, and she explained many of them to me and how they operated. But the contraptions here in Xena's base were completely unknown to me. Finally, the noise abruptly died down, the whistling of the wind and the creaking of metal outside settling back into our ears. I love her blank expression. Hello, Miss Juno's sister. How are you? Hi, I'm Raeal. It's nice to meet you. You're taller than Juno. Hi. Ah! Oh my god, there's two of them now. There's two of them. What do I do? What do I do in this situation? Ah! Protogen in danger. Ah! I'm gonna need a new chassis after this. Xena turned to us, putting her tool aside, and a huge smile appeared on her helmet, similar to Juno's, only with a bluish glow. Oh my god! Oh my god, she's adorable! Look at the face on her earpiece! Okay, I like Xena. Xena's cute. Oh no. Juno! Xena squealed with joy and rushed towards Juno, almost knocking her off her feet. She clung to Juno in a tight hug, almost bumping helmets with her. Juno hugged her back, a smile appearing on her helmet as well. When they stood side by side, I was able to compare them. Though they looked alike, their differences were immediately apparent. Xena was taller than Juno. I called it. Oh yeah, I called it. Xena was taller than Juno, and her hair was silver and much longer. Can I just say, okay, just going away from the story here real quick, I really appreciate how simple these designs are on these characters. It would be so easy to overdo it on these. I'm really glad they held back a little bit though, and they made something that I would consider like more canonical for a Protogen. I really appreciate the character designs here. They're very well done. I stood back, watching their greeting and feeling a little awkward. This is Raeal. I told you about him, remember? Oh, he's so small and cute! Ah! Oh no, that face! That is a face of danger! Hello, Xena. She called me small and cute. Ah! Where did you find him, Juno? Am I like a lost puppy to you? What am I to you? Look at him, he's adorable. Ah! I can only blush so hard. Ah! Her words made me blush, feeling even more awkward. Nice to meet you. I held out my hand for a handshake. Xena gave me a puzzled look and then smiled and slapped my hand, slapping it so hard that the impact echoed in my ears. I held back a shriek, sensing that she was as strong as Juno, or perhaps even stronger. It's nice to meet you too. I couldn't wait to see what kind of friend Juno made. Xena grinned slyly, and an animation of slyly playing eyebrows appeared on her helmet. She's doing the fucking eyebrow meme. Yeah, she told me about you too. Really? What did she tell you? I bet she missed me a lot. Right, Juno? How long has it been since I last saw you? Feels like forever. I love how expressive they made the earpieces. Probably 10 years? Juno smiled embarrassedly. Xena waved her hand. I didn't even notice how fast time flies by here. It happens when you sit at work all the time. The fucking cat face. Okay, she's adorable. I love Xena. Xena must be protected at all costs. Well, let's be real. She's taller than Juno. She's gonna be the one protecting me at some point. Calling it now. Last time someone visited me was NV0100. That was a while ago. She said she's staying at Yeshendor right now. Yeshendor? Said she needed a break from everything. Popped in to buy a few things and flew off. Wait, really? I haven't contacted her for a while. I thought she was in another galaxy altogether. She failed her last mission and finally decided to go on vacation. I awkwardly watched their conversation, sheepishly feeling like a kid who was eavesdropping onto other people's secrets. It's like when mom meets her friend at the grocery store. This is this exact scenario. Mom! Mom! Finally, Juno turned her gaze to me. Look, Xena, we're really in a hurry, just passing through as well. Did you finish my things? Xena chuckled. Of course! Everything's ready and waiting for you. But I have to finish this crap before I pack your order. Just give me about 10 minutes. And besides, I can't just let you go without any chit-chat, can I? Why don't you go to my break room and I'll join you later? I decided to jump in on the conversation. Thanks, but we're really in a bit of a hurry. I don't want to hear it. Come on, I'll show you the way. Xena didn't even listen, stepping forward confidently. It's okay, Raeal, we have some time. I get that I'm frustrated, but like rushing is not going to solve anything, in all honesty. Like something like this, I feel like we got to figure it out. We got to be slow about it. Oh, that's a fancy looking break room in the background. My one gripe about this is I feel like these are fully illustrated backgrounds. If there's no character in the foreground, I wish I could see that background. And then when the character comes in, I want to like maybe do the blur out thing, but it seems like a lot of work went into these backgrounds just for them to get blurred out and like us to not see like the final version of it, you know? The break room turned out to be a place made entirely of metal. Slot machines, the kind that Juno had told me about, a bar counter, metal furniture, and even a metal carpet lying on the metal floor and screwed to it with nuts. I looked around puzzled, sitting down on a hard, cold couch. Juno sat down next to me. Would you like something to drink? A snack? I had some excellent firewater delivered a couple days ago. Firewater? Firewater, you say? I looked at Juno and, leaning over, muttered, what is firewater? Juno smiled at Xena. No thanks, we'll take something, well, something not that strong. Actually, we really don't have time to drink, Xena. We'd love to stay with you longer, but Xena immediately brightened. Then just stay! Believe me, there's room for everyone. I'm the only one on this planet. No, I'm sorry, we really can't. We have to hurry. A sad expression appeared on Xena. Don't make Xena sad! Stop making the character sad! A sad expression appeared on Xena's helmet for a couple moments, but she quickly erased it, replacing it with a familiar smile. Well, I'll get you some tea then. Juno, you want the usual, right? Yes, thank you, Xena. Xena quickly went to the bar and got us each a drink. She brought me a strange blue-colored tea, and Juno got a glass of some fizzy drink that I don't recognize. Okay, I'm sorry, but this face to me just says, when she's looking at me, she's like, you like Juno, don't you, Raeal? And the answer is yes. You like tall protogen ladies, don't you? What is it? I pointed to the glass in Juno's hand. Oh, it's a deliciously sweet drink from one planet. I can't remember what it's called. It's a kind of fizzy syrup. It was delivered just a couple days ago. I think they call it a soda. Do you want to try it? I nodded. Juno handed me her glass and I took one small sip through a special drinking hole in the helmet, immediately feeling the small bubbles fizzle in my mouth. Wow, it's like alcohol, but sweet and with no burn. I got a whole case of these. If you want, I can order you a pack before you leave. Maybe you'd like a snack? I got something here. No, thank you, Xena. I looked at Xena curiously. Where did you get all this stuff from? I get everything delivered from a neighboring planet once a month. Would you like to go there together? A note of hope flashed in Xena's voice again. She's so lonely. Oh my God. I really hope after we get all this solved, we like drag Xena along for our space adventures together. Cause like, she seems adorable. Sorry, sis. We're in a real hurry. I'm sorry, Xena. Xena smiled. Oh, right. Well, anyway, you should go there sometime in the future. It's unforgettable. Maybe next year? Xena nodded. Her helmet brightened up a little bit. Okay, I'll go and get everything ready. Just wait for me for 10 minutes. And please don't fool around without me. I have many toys. You got... Juno's face! Xena giggled again and winked at us, making my face flush again. And Juno's awkwardly. Oh no, I am blushing. Xena turned and walked away, hiding in the build. Juno is so fucking flustered. Her comment rattled around in my head. Did you tell her that you and I... Juno blushed again. No, I just said you're a close friend. But don't worry, even if we were really just friends, Xena would have said exactly the same things. Oh. She made the same joke about Toshi. Juno and I sat in silence for a while, listening to the clanking of metal. I looked ponderously at the mountains of garbage around us. How does Xena even live here? It would be torture for me. There's no one to talk to and no nature to admire. Juno smiled softly. Yeah, I know. That's why she wants us to stay a little longer. Hope you're not offended by her manners, Raeal. Not at all. No, please. I love how blunt she is. I love your sister. I'm just gonna say that right now. And you know what? I am open to the offer. She's just lonely here. She's always happy to have someone over, even if it's just for a little while. Of course, I'm not offended. I'd love to stick around for a visit if it weren't for our mission. I was being a little deceitful. I really didn't want to stay on this planet at all, but I wouldn't mind going along with the two of them to the neighboring planet Xena had mentioned to see the seasonal sail and other inhabitants of the galaxy. I could hardly imagine Xena living here, and I couldn't help but feel a bit sad for her. There was no way I could have survived in such conditions. Well, she's a protogen. You are not. She can handle this, and she seems happy. Though maybe a little lonely, but you know, that's okay. We'll come back to visit. Why doesn't she just leave this mess? Juno shrugged thoughtfully. Like I said, Xena came here of her own volition. She likes it here. She always loved the solitude. It's just that sometimes there's such a thing as too much solitude, if you ask me. I spent a lot of time alone too, only talking to Pixie. I thought everything was great, but when I met you, I realized how lonely I really was. Maybe Xena will meet someone too. Who knows? I smiled weakly. How will she meet anyone if she spends all of her time at this dump? I told her the same thing, but Xena had always been a little shut in. I would have lost it long ago. Well, your species' psyche is much weaker than ours. I would also think too, if you're diving into your work and you're happy with your work, I mean, it's not really work, is it? So Xena's probably happy being here, but she probably misses people, but this is probably cathartic to her in some way. Like she can just sit around all day and craft things. Like that's kind of cool. Yeah, I guess so. Plus, Xena has a job here. Her life is her work and her work is her life. I'm certain that no one can make a set of tech armor better than her. But this is why we came here. You're finally changing it. I've decided that we need a little upgrade if we want to deal with the anomaly. Xena is an expert in terms of technology, so I asked her to create a set of reinforced armor to be ready for anything. Juno in new armor? Ooh, what's it gonna look like? There will be enhanced protection, temperature monitoring, and organ function analysis. And on top of that, Pixie will be able to get all that data through my armored sensors. If I take critical damage, the suit will send an emergency signal to Pixie, who will send a jet to fetch me. You'll see for yourself soon enough. Sounds great, but I hope you never get into a situation where the signal thing is needed. Better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. Yeah, exactly. Well, it's better to be prepared for everything. Now that you mention it, I'd kind of like to get myself some armor too. Juno looked at me in surprise. Why do you need armor? Why? To fight alongside you. You don't think I'd let you go anywhere alone, do you? No, of course not, but you're squishy, Raeal. You are small boy. Small cute boy that is very squishy. I know I'm small cute squishy. You can squish me. I looked at Juno knowing what she was thinking right now. What she meant, I was weaker than her. No matter how much I trained, I couldn't match her performance simply because of the limitations of my body. This is where I would start to get angry, because if I've gotten to the point of being able to spar with Juno for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and keep up, and only be a sweaty mess by the end of it, that would be proof enough to me that I'm good enough to fend for myself, because she's bioengineered. She's built for this. So like, if I can keep up with a bioengineered being, then I can fend for myself. But even though it was an objective and obvious fact, I still felt a huge surge of irritation in my chest. It was as if Juno hadn't even thought about me fighting, had written me off beforehand, but I wasn't gonna stand by. Then what was all the training for? What did I train for if not to fight or defend myself? It was my own planet that had been destroyed, and it was my responsibility to take my revenge. Raeal, Oh. Xena! Hi! She's got that face of, you two didn't mess around at all, did you? Not without me, did you? Xena interrupted our conversation at that moment, unknowingly stopping an impending quarrel. I didn't want to argue with Juno, not at all, but lately I'd been thinking I was pushing it myself. It was as if I couldn't help myself, as if the emotions that were bubbling inside me were eager to find some way out. It was getting harder and harder to hold back, no matter how hard I tried, and it made me feel like a psycho. Juno was my closest friend, my lover, the one who had always supported me. I couldn't understand why my negative emotions, irritation, and resentment were directed at her. Maybe it was because there was no one else? I sighed, once again berating myself, and silently thanked Xena for stepping in at such a good time. Xena appeared before us with a large container, which she placed effortlessly on the floor. Oh, she's got the strong arm pose. Let's go! So, everything you're gonna need is here. I've got it all set up. The armor's all ready, just waiting for you, sis. As well as the weapon and mods you asked for. Xena winked at us. Juno grinned. Wait, what? What mischievous acts are going on? What nefarious actions are happening? Thank you, Xena. Can I put it on right now? Wait, you ordered weapons as well? Yeah, just a melee weapon. I'll show it to you when we get back to the ship. Juno approached the container, running her hand admiringly over it. You can put it on right now, but I advise you to do it on your ship instead. How about Raeal take the armor to your jet while you have a little chat? Juno raised an eyebrow at Xena. A chat? About what? Xena rubbed the back of her neck in embarrassment. Well, is something wrong? Uh-oh. I looked at Xena, puzzled. Xena shook her head immediately. No, just girls talk. I wanted to talk to Juno about some of our siblings. Juno looked just as stunned as I was, but she must have realized something from the tone of Xena's voice because she nodded and turned to me. Raeal, can you take the armor to the jet? I'll be right back. Shouldn't take more than 10 minutes, right? Xena immediately agreed. It'll just be a word or two. I smiled uncertainly and nodded. I walked over to the container and struggled to pick it up off the floor. It was heavy, metal, and cold. Yeah, I was about to say, Xena made that look pretty easy, but I'm pretty sure me be small, twiggy man be not as strong as Proto tall lady. That was English. Xena saw this and said, oh, he's so cute. Just look at him, Xena. Ah, stop. I can only blush so hard. My face turned red, both because I was embarrassed and because this box was heavy as hell. It was nice to meet you, Xena. You too, sweetie. Come and visit me as soon as you're done with your mission, and please be gentle with my sister. Xena winked at me. I took one last look at her and Juno and headed for the jet, dragging the container with much difficulty. Once inside, I dropped the box and sat down on the floor. I didn't know what Xena and Juno had decided to gossip about, and that made me a little uneasy. What if Xena knew some information about the anomaly, but didn't want to say? What if she didn't like me and didn't want to say it openly? A variety of thoughts began to swirl in my head. I was not satisfied with either scenario, and it only made me more anxious. I don't think she didn't like us, because she was openly flirting with us and wanted to do things. My brain's a little frazzled at that still. I looked at my watch, counting every minute. I wanted to get to the ship as soon as possible to continue our journey. When my gaze fell on the container of armor, I felt a pang of contradictory envy. Sure, I was glad Juno was better prepared for a fight, but at the same time, I was offended that she hadn't thought to order armor for me as well. It was as if she also thought I was weak and incapable of anything, just like everyone else who had surrounded me before. I know where she's coming from, though. She's trying to protect us, but at the same time, if she was trying to protect us, wouldn't she want us to have some armor to, like, just in case, worst case scenario? Wouldn't she want us to have a way to defend ourselves at that point? All my life, the people around me had done nothing but take care of me, and now when I was ready to fight, when I finally knew what I wanted, they were trying to push me aside again. To top it all off, it was done by the person who I loved, my closest friend, the one who I trusted and loved so much. Oh no, this is gonna come to a climax of us blowing up at Juno, isn't it? I sighed and tried to shake the thoughts away. I wanted to get back on board the ship, to the gym, and clear the nonsense cluttering my head. The view from the jet's windows did nothing to improve my mood. This planet seemed to be synonymous with the words dreary and boring. The low, grayish-yellow clouds did not add to its charm at all. Juno, why are you sad? She looked sad and confused, deep in her thoughts. Settling into her chair, she silently pressed the cockpit's buttons, and the jet lifted into the air. Everything all right? Oh no. What did Xena tell her about the siblings? What happened? Oh no! Juno turned to me. An awkward smile appeared on her helmet. Yeah, everything's just fine. Let's hurry back to test my new armor. I don't think everything's fine. The jet floated upward, maneuvering carefully among the mountains of debris. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Juno looked tense, as if she heard bad news. What did Xena say? My question hung in the air unanswered. After a moment's silence, Juno shook her head. All right, Raeal, don't worry. We just had a little chat about this and that. I'm just sad to part with Xena, that's all. That really it? There was a falseness in Juno's voice that I'd learned to recognize after practically 2 years of living side by side. I didn't like her reaction. Something was clearly upsetting her. I wanted to know, to understand what was wrong, but Juno didn't seem keen on enlightening me. We just talked about the past. You wouldn't be interested anyway. I scowled. Not that you've ever told me anything about your past besides Toshi. Juno didn't answer, concentrating on the jet's controls, though she didn't need to. It had maneuvered itself back to the ship thanks to its autopilot. I still wanted to push the matter further, to ask Juno what had happened. The fact that I didn't know much about her hurt me a little, because Juno knew practically everything about me. She knew about the prophecy, about my home planet, about my parents, about what had happened and why I'd run away. But she wouldn't tell me anything about her life, and sometimes I felt that she just didn't want to. I didn't want to think about the possibility of her not trusting me enough to share that kind of thing, but the thought kept popping into my head. You have to remember, though, you are kind of new to this whole thing. It's a lot of information to pull in all at once. So, like, maybe she's going to tell you, it's just taking her some time. Maybe she's got a tragic backstory that she just has a hard time opening up to people about. That's a very real thing that could happen. You gotta be patient with the cutie of Juno, right? Every time we came up to this topic in our discussions, Juno would just cut it off and say I wouldn't be interested. Oh, well, maybe that changes things. She said her life was long and boring and I wouldn't hear anything exciting anyway. But Juno was from another planet, a different species. So how could I not be interested in what was happening here? Even though it was something trivial and simple for her, it felt like a whole different world to me. She had explored my planet herself, showing admiration and interest in learning about our way of life and traditions. However, she seemed unwilling to reciprocate and share anything about herself. But even so, I didn't push the topic forward. I just turned away from the window, watching the planet shrink away below. When our jet docked with the ship, Juno effortlessly picked up the container and headed for the docking bay, still deep in her thoughts. I had no choice but to follow her. Juno, you know you can talk to me if something's wrong, right? Juno turned, a soft smile appearing on her helmet. I know, Raeal, and you can talk to me too if something's bothering you. We nodded to each other in silence, neither one of us saying what we actually thought. Damn, the next day! They're really gonna do that. They're really gonna tease at Juno not being willing to share her backstory or anything. Interesting. Wow. Okay. I mean, that opens up a new kind of dynamic, I guess. If Juno's been completely unwilling to share anything about her, but she knows everything about us, that's really one-sided. That would make me uncomfortable. So I hope they get to talk about this in the future. That being said, that is all the time I have for this video. We got to meet Xena, Juno's tall, cute, younger sister, and we're well on our way to figuring out what the anomaly is. So maybe we'll figure out in the next episode what the anomaly is. Thank you, everybody, so much for watching. Thank you for being here. Y'all are absolutely incredible. I am RaealTheProtogen, and remember to leave a like on this video if you did like this video. Comment down below your favorite part, because at the end of this series, I have something super special planned that I cannot wait to show you guys. And hey, we're almost at 100,000 subscribers, so make sure to subscribe today if you haven't yet. Anyway, I'm RaealTheProtogen. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye, everybody! Wagga, 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 wagga.